Hey everybody, Dr. Ben here at the Functional Medicine Center, and welcome. I'm going to be going over today some of the updates that we're having on the antibody testing that has come out recently. We've been talking about this. We've run our first test this week. We're probably going to be running at least 20 or 30 tests this week. We've got a lot more in the books next week. These are our 48-hour turnaround. So this test that we're running is an antibody test specifically for COVID-19. So I'm gonna give a couple minutes. We'll get going here into the details. Let some more people get on the video here. But just to give a little background of what an antibody is. An antibody is an immune system cell that is going to tag or target a invader, a virus, a bacteria, a parasite, or in the case of autoimmune, your thyroid or your joint or whatever. It's going to tag that X, Y, or Z for destruction. And then the immune system comes in and destroys that cell. So an antibody is going to be this great part of the immune system. It's not the thing that's doing the killing. Hey Denise, how are you doing? It's not going to do the killing, but it's going to be doing the actual tagging. So like if it was a Navy SEAL sitting up on the ridge and it puts its laser pointer on the door of a building and the drone comes in, shoots its missile and blows that up, that is what's going on with that autoimmunity. If it's our own tissue, if it's a virus, bacteria, anything like that, it's going to be tagging for destruction. If anybody has questions as we go along, go ahead and post those down below. I'll be answering questions throughout this, but I'm going to be giving updates on our antibody testing, why the lab that we're using is so unique and why it's so important not to just get any old test out there. I got sent information from another company I've used in the past. I looked through it and it is not what we want to be. Barely 80% accuracy is what they're going to be at. We're seeing 99% in the specificity and 96% in the sensitivity, which is as good as any lab ever is going to be for antibody testing, even if you're getting antibody testing for an autoimmune disease or anything like that. So a couple of things that we're looking at when we're thinking about antibodies. Knowledge is power, and this is where we have to be. If you start thinking about how are we going to get out of this, how are we going to actually get on with our lives, if this COVID-19 is as virulent as they say it is, if people are going to get it, if it's going to go around and hit everybody, if it's as problematic as it really is and what they're saying, then everybody is going to get this virus, and we've got to see those antibodies so we can tell who's had it and who has not had it. And so that's where at this point the antibody testing is the only thing that we've found and that we're seeing that we can truly tell, hey, have you been exposed? Do you have antibodies for that? Can you go back to work? Can you go back out into the real world? Can you go to the park and hug other people that have antibodies? Can you go see grandma? If she has antibodies and you have antibodies, you can go and get exposed that way. This is the only way forward we have at this point to truly know who's going to be able to get out and about and start working in the public again. The problem is that there's so many people that still have not been infected, and unfortunately, I'm crying every night for all these businesses and companies and everybody that are not making it, and the restaurants that are going to have to shut down, and people that are laid off, and all that. And we've got to get back to work. We got to get back out there, but it's also, maybe we've hit 5% of the population, probably more 3% of the population have been exposed to this, and some of these areas are already overwhelmed. And so, yes, there's a flattening of the curve and there's some of these things that need to happen, but then what? Here's the magic date that President Trump threw out, April 30th. Guess what? It's not like the virus is going to be gone on April 30th. The virus is still going to be there. There's still going to be people. There's daycare centers that are still open, grocery stores, airplanes. I guarantee you April 30th, there are still going to be people infected. And if we go all out there and start exposing people again, that's why they're talking about these waves again and again going through there. So antibodies is the way forward, and I want to give you some specific information on what we're seeing with the antibody testing. So with Vibrant America Lab that we're testing, we're getting IgG, IgA, and IgM testing. And so we're doing the 3 antibodies and testing 4 antigens. So we're testing 12 different scenarios here. Very, very intense. And this is why we're seeing that 96% on the sensitivity, 99% on the specificity, because we know that if somebody comes back positive, they're positive. If somebody comes back negative, they're negative. Where most other labs out there that we've looked at, and I'll get to that in a second, the other ones, this is actually a blood draw in the office. We send it out to California. They test it in the lab. Within 48 hours, we have that information back. So it's crucial that we get that information, and I'll get to why it's also scary where these other tests are coming from. So we're testing 12 different scenarios with the 3 antibodies and the 4 antigens. Most other labs are testing IgG and IgM, and they're testing 1 antigen. So they're testing 2 total, and we're testing 12. So that's another reason why I chose this one. I feel very comfortable. My nephew got tested yesterday. I got tested. We all need to know this information. So we're testing 3 different ones. IgG, IgM are going to be more of that airborne, coughing, all that. But guess what? We're seeing a lot of IgA as well. IgA is where? In the digestive tract. Guess what? It's very hard to transmit that. And we've actually seen some people that have come back positive for IgA, COVID-19, so they will have immunity to this, but their spouse came back negative. And so this is one of the big updates that we've been thinking is that, oh, hey, if you've got it, then everybody else in your family probably has it. But that's not true. And so, unfortunately, we are going to have to test probably everybody in this country to see if they've had it or not had it. And so it can be gut-based. And so if it's a digestive thing, then people are not going to be having other symptoms potentially. And so they may not get tested and they may not get exposed to their spouse or their kids or whatever it is. So we're testing IgG, IgM, and IgA. The IgA is the gut-based one. A little bit more on the science side, there's something called chemioluminescence. And that chemioluminescence, we're able to, at the lab, they're able to block IgM and just test IgG. I know this is getting technical, but we're testing IgG, IgM, IgA, and you can block one and test the other. So it's way more sensitive than a lot of tests out there. We're able to see very, very specifically what's going on, and are these tests as accurate as we want them to be? Absolutely. And that's what it has to be. We can't be looking at 80% like most of the other labs out there. I got an email from a lab that we've used for some other things in the past, and you know what they said? We are waiting for this test to ship from China. And you know where most of these tests are actually coming from? Wuhan, China. Coincidence? I don't know, but that's not where I want to be ordering my test from. And this isn't conspiracy theory. This is direct numbers and locations on the emails that they're sending. They're waiting and they're ordering tests from China. And then those tests are going to be checking IgG, IgM, but 80% accuracy. I would not put my family out at risk knowing that it's an 80% accuracy. No way would I do that. We've got to know with a very high accuracy. I am not going to be betting on a test being made in China that it is going to give us the information we need. So the tests that we're running, we're drawing blood. Yes, you got to come into the office. Yes, you got to draw blood, but we send it out to the lab, FedEx, overnight. We get it within 48 hours. So worst case scenario, Hey Monica, how are you? Worst case scenario, another day after that, so 48 to 72 hours, and we're not relying on a test that they're mass producing in China and shipping over, and then they're rushing it through. They're not getting FDA approval. And a lot of these tests are even getting held up at customs and things like that because the FDA is like, we can't be putting this out there. It's not that accurate. So the chemioluminescence is going to be able to block one of those IgM or IgG and test the other one at the same time. So it's not just throwing them all in there and seeing what shows up. We're able to be very, very much more specific in that. So again, when we're testing the IgG, IgM, IgA, we're able to see what stage this is in as well. Hey Carol, hope you're doing well. I know Alicia left you a message today, so hopefully you can get a hold of her. We were able to see what stage of the infection and what some of the things I was just talking to the lab today. They're seeing that this is still sloughing off even 3 weeks later. And so when we're seeing that somebody doesn't have symptoms anymore, they could still be giving off those viruses even 3 weeks later. So it's taking longer than what we thought. But as long as we know that somebody has had it in the past, and it's been well over that time of symptoms, they're going to be okay to get back out. And again, knowledge is power. We've got to get out back into the community, start working again. We cannot hide the rest of our lives waiting for a vaccination. No one can look you in the eyes and say, we are going to have a vaccine that's going to be 100% accurate with this. We have no idea. There's potential mutation that's taking place. I haven't seen direct scientific evidence of this, but there's reports that it is. And then there's also reports that the antibodies may not be long-term. But the good news is, so even if this is like the seasonal flu where the antibodies fade away within 6-8 months and then you could get it next year, the good news is that the IgG, even though it doesn't have antibodies, will still have a memory. And we're still going to have that potential where it might just be a sore throat. It might just be a little bit of a cough. Get it out way faster. So that's our hope. So even if it is not a permanent immunity, it's going to be still some IgG memory there, even if it's not full on antibodies, where it won't be as major of an issue next year, and it might just fall into that list of other flus, and you go, okay, well, hopefully we don't get it this year. But we cannot put our hope on a vaccination. Most things that they're talking about are 1 to 2 years, and then will it even be the exact same strain at that point? Will it have mutated? Will it have evolved? Any of those things. So right now, antibody testing is the best that we have to know if somebody has been exposed, if they can start getting out into the public. Again, I joked on my personal Facebook page last week and said, are we going to all be card-carrying members of the antibody club? And it might end up being that way, or bracelets or something where you walk into the grocery store and they go beep, okay, that person's clear, they've already had it, they're good to go. So anyways, we're doing the antibody testing. It's a in-office draw. Call either our office number 970-282-1173, send me a text 970-420-6277, and I can get a hold of you that way. My email, Dr. DOCTOR at FMCenters, as in functional medicine centers with an S.com. Send me a email if you've got any questions. We've got a few appointments left tomorrow. We probably have 15 already scheduled. We've got a couple appointments left. We're being very careful with who we're selecting to be able to do the test. If somebody has a current infection or is coughing, fever, anything like that, they are not. This is not the test for you. This is not the test to see if you have it going on. We have that test, and you can can do that at home, and we can get that to you. But if it's somebody that I had a patient that was in Italy in November and they got really, really sick when they got back, so they're getting tested. We weren't worried at all about them being an active carrier or active infection because they had this a long time ago. We're cleaning in between patients. If you want to wait in your car, we can even have you go around the side door. If you're really worried, we can do the draw outside. Whatever you guys feel comfortable doing, we're here to make it as easy as possible. The test is $199. And that includes a consultation with myself or my nutritionist to review those results and let you know exactly where you are in the process. And if you've had it, boom, here you are. If you haven't, okay, this is what you got to do to make yourself as healthy as you possibly can, because this is the biggest thing we're looking at. Guess what? We've got diabetes, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure are the three biggest comorbidity factors there. And what does that mean? Inflammation. You've got to get that inflammation down. Blood sugar, stabilizing your thyroid, your liver, your gut, your brain, all these different things. You've got to get it stabilized. So super excited. Wanted to get back on here and talk to you guys again. It has been crazy in the office this week. We're short staffed. We're working lots of hours. So sorry if we haven't got back to everybody. We're doing the best we can. But keep calling, keep emailing, keep touching base. Again, my cell phone, you can text me 970-420-6277. We cannot drop ship the test yet. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, but we'll see. I've got a lady coming down from Cheyenne. We did a patient in Golden today, so we've got a lot of places that we can hit, and you can come into the office. Great news, no traffic. You can get here pretty quick. So again, we're testing IgG, IgM, IgA. We're doing 4 different antigens, so 12 total scenarios that we're testing, where the other labs are testing 2, and most aren't even labs. Most are tests that they're ordering from China, and actually Wuhan, China is the biggest manufacturer of these antibody tests. They're shipping them over here, and then we're doing the test and seeing what happens. It's not that accurate, 80% accuracy. We're drawing blood, shipping it directly to California, FedEx overnight, 48 hours, 2 days, 3 days at the most. We're getting the results back. We'll review them specifically with you, let you know what stage of the infection somebody is in, and then also if you haven't had it, we'll be able to go from there. So what we may be recommending, even if one person in the household has it, has antibodies, we'll probably still test other people in the household, because what the research they're getting back already is showing that even multiple people in the same household do not all have antibodies yet. So maybe it was IgA and it was stool based, and so they're not the partners or the kids aren't getting exposed that way. So we know about 50% of the people there is a gut component to it. So good news now, over half the people have no symptoms at all. That's what the research is showing. 80% of the people that are going to get this COVID-19 will have mild to no symptoms. Yes, there are going to be those that are going to have problematic, and it is going to be a major health crisis, and there are going to be issues at hospitals and all those things. It is coming, but you've got to get yourself as ready as possible. You've got to get yourself as healthy as possible, because if you haven't had this yet, it will be coming, and you can be one of those 80% that it's not a big deal and you're going to be totally fine. And that's where every one of my patients, I want them to be. And that's why we're pushing as hard as we can to get people as healthy. Even in these stressful times, you've got to be eating the way you need to be doing. You've got to be doing the nutritionals. You've got to be working through each and every system that is out of balance. And that's what we're here to help with. So if you've got any questions, reach out to me directly. You can call or text me 970-420-6277 and shoot me a message or let me know what your question is that way as well. And I can let you know on this test or anything about functional medicine as well. We're doing complimentary consultations also. We can chat about what you have going on, how your body can get as healthy as possible, everything we can through there. So, all right, be well, everybody. Good to see you. If you have questions at all, drop us a line, let me know. I think we've got 2 or 3 open spots left tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll be back in on Monday doing the tests for the antibodies at that point. So be well, everybody.